You're about to steal these AWS credentials from a live server right now. You can do this while you watch. The vulnerable server is live in the description. You'll use Server-Side Request Forgery, SSRF, to exploit it. You're learning the same attack that cost Capital One $150 million. In the next 10 minutes, you'll know exactly how to execute it and defend against it. Let's go. So here's the problem. When you're building a web application, you might have features that need to fetch data from URLs. Maybe it's a webhook integration, or a URL preview, or an image fetcher. Totally innocent features, right? But here's what most developers don't even realize. When your server makes that request on behalf of the user, it's not coming from the user's computer anymore. It's coming from your server. And your server can access things that the user can't. And in 2019, a hacker exploited exactly this vulnerability to breach Capital One. They stole over 106 million customer records and over $150 million in damages, all because of SSRF. So here's what's happening in this video. First, I'll show you exactly how SSRF works with a live demonstration. Second, you're going to exploit the vulnerable server I'm hosting to steal real AWS credentials. And third, I'll show you how to defend your own applications against this attack. Oh, and one more thing. I want you to post your results in the comments. Let's see how many of you can actually pull this off. The server is completely live right now. The link is in the description. You can do this while you watch or come back and do it later. But here's the thing. This is the only place you should try this attack. This is a safe, isolated AWS environment that I've specifically set up for you to hack. Now, before we dive into the exploitation, there's something that you need to understand about AWS. When you run an application on an EC2 instance, Amazon provides something called the Instance Metadata Service. It lives at this IP address. And here's the crazy part. This metadata service, well, it hands out IAM role credentials to anyone who asks on the EC2 instance, but there's no authentication required. You can probably see where this is going, yeah? Alright, let me show you a vulnerable application. This is a simple Go web server with a single endpoint called fetch. It takes a URL parameter from the user and then uses Go's http.get function to fetch that URL and return the response. Seems harmless, but this single line is the vulnerability. Let me show you why. Alright, so this is the live server that I'm letting you attack. Let's test it with a normal URL first to see how it works. I'll fetch the GitHub API for the GitHub user profiles. And there we go, works perfectly. The server fetched the URL and returned the response. But watch what happens when instead of a normal external URL, I give it this. This is the AWS Meta Service IP address. Now remember, this request is going to come from the server, not from my browser. And just like that, we've accessed the metadata service. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, okay, what's the big deal? This is just some metadata. Let me show you the big deal. If we navigate to /latest/metadata, we get a directory listing. And right there, you see IAM. That's where the credentials live. But let's go deeper. Okay, quick explanation of what this metadata service really is. When you launch an EC2 instance, you can assign it an IAM role. This gives your applications running on that instance permission to access other AWS services. Maybe your app needs to read from S3, write to a database, or invoke Lambda functions. So AWS generates temporary credentials for that role and makes them available through its metadata service. Now here's the critical part that you need to understand. The metadata service is designed to only be accessible from within your EC2 instance itself. External requests shouldn't be able to reach it. But with SSRF, you're not making an external request. You're making the server make the request. And from the metadata service's perspective, your request is coming from localhost. Now here's what makes that terrifying. It happily hands over the credentials. Let me show you. There's the role name, SSRF demo role. Now if we append that role name to the path, we should get the actual credentials. Remember those AWS credentials from the start? We're about to steal them for real. But before I hit this button, here's a challenge. Some of you are probably already trying to hack the server right now. Good. If you've already stolen the credentials, comment "got it" below. I want to see how fast you are. But the rest of you, watch this. Alright, this is it. Watch what happens when I click this. And there they are. Live AWS credentials. Access key ID, secret access key, and a session token. These are temporary credentials valid up to 6 hours. And if you had these, you could authenticate to AWS as this EC2 instance's IAM role. You can take these credentials and configure them with the AWS CLI. And now you can list all the S3 buckets this role has access to. In the Capital One breach, this is exactly what the attacker did. They used the stolen credentials to access S3 buckets containing customer data, and they synchronized those buckets to their own machine, downloading everything. Now, this particular role doesn't have permissions to list IAM users, thank God, but you can see how dangerous this gets depending on what permissions are attached to your role. This is exactly why the principle of least privilege is so important for your IAM roles. If this role had been given admin access, you'd basically own the entire account. So now that you've actually seen how devastating this attack can be, let's talk about how to fix it. Alright, so if you are building applications on AWS or really any cloud platform, there are two layers of defense that you need to implement. First is at the cloud infrastructure level, and the second is in your application's code. Let's start with what you can do on AWS. After the Capital One breach, AWS introduced IMDS v2, which is specifically designed to prevent SSRF attacks against the metadata service. Here's the difference. With IMDS v1, an attacker simply makes a GET request to the metadata endpoint and it hands over the credentials. No authentication required. With IMDS v2, you first have to make a PUT request to get a session token. Then, you have to include that token in a custom HTTP header called AWS EC2 metadata token with every metadata request. And here's the key. Most SSRF vulnerabilities you encounter can't set custom headers. They can only control the URL. So even if an attacker can make your server request the metadata endpoint through SSRF, they can't get the token and then they can't pass that token into the header. Your attack fails. Now, if you're running EC2 instances, you should probably migrate to IMDS v2 and disable IMDS v1. You can do this through the console or with a simple CLI command. Set the HTTP tokens option to required. This should be your first line of defense if you're on AWS. But even with IMDS v2 enabled, you still need to fix the vulnerability in your application's code, because SSRF isn't just about the AWS metadata. An attacker could use it to access your internal services, database, admin panels, or anything else on your internal network. So let's talk about how you can secure your application. Alright, so here's a secure implementation. Let me break down what you need to do. First, you should use an allow list. This is the most effective defense you can implement. Only specific approved domains are allowed. You pass the URL and validate it. Check the scheme. Only allow HTTP or HTTPS. Ideally HTTPS only. Then, you verify the domain against your allow list. If it's not explicitly approved, you reject it. You also explicitly block private IP ranges. This includes the AWS metadata range, but also RFC 1918 private networks your server might access. And critically, you disable redirects, because an attacker could potentially use an allowed domain that redirects to the metadata service to bypass your filter. Now, I want to emphasize this to you. Never use a deny list approach. Don't try to block specific bad domains or IPs. Attackers can easily bypass your deny list with URL encoding, DNS rebinding, alternative IP addresses, and a dozen other tricks. Always use an allow list. Only allow what you explicitly trust. So to recap what you need to implement. 1. Use an allow list of approved domains. 2. Validate and pass all URLs your app receives. 3. Block private IP ranges. 4. Disable redirect following. And 5. Apply the principle of least privilege to your IAM roles. And if you implement these 5 things, you'll be protected against the majority of SSRF attacks. So, let's recap what you just learned. You now know what server-side request forgery is and how attackers exploit it to steal cloud credentials. You understand how the AWS metadata service works and why it's a target. You know about IMDS v2 and how it prevents metadata SSRF attacks. And you have concrete techniques to prevent SSRF in your own applications. That's some serious security knowledge that you now have. Alright, time for the challenge. The vulnerable server is live right now. Link is in the description. I want you to steal my AWS credentials. Use everything I just taught you, exploit the SSRF, and get those credentials. And when you do, and I know some of you already have, come back here and comment hacked with what you find in the bucket. The full source code for both the vulnerable and secure versions is on GitHub if you want to study it or run your own lab. But right now, I want to see how many of you can hack me. And if you want more practice after this, there are beginner-friendly SSRF challenges on Portswigger, Try Hack Me, and Hack the Box. Links are in the description. Master this vulnerability and you could earn $50,000 in bug bounties. So go do it. Hack the server, post your results, and let's see who's the fastest. Thanks for watching, stay curious, stay secure, and I'll see you in the next one.